is no walk in the park, but new research suggests it actually is.
Leicester University has estimated that a lifetime of brisk walking could actually slash your biological age by 16 years.
Well, here at This Morning, our experts have always been advocates of a stroll, especially if it involves their pets.
This is our favourite dog walk.
Oh, the great outdoors. This is going to be awesome.
Now, getting out and about into the countryside is one of the real joys for me, especially for my dog Cooper.
Don't worry, we're not going that far. Just take a look at that. Yay! Look, Millie, some sheep. Bah! Oh, they're not replying.
Right, Coop, come on. Time to go home. Yes, I'm having a beer.
I don't think any of them were walking fast enough. Joining us now to discuss the power of walking is Julia Bradbury, Alice Beer. First, though, let's speak to the author of this new study. It's Professor Tom Yates. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us today. So how big was your sample size?
So this was from UK Biobank, which is a sample of about 500,000 people living in the UK.
And so that's a sizable study. You came up with this is a word that I've never heard before. So is it telomeres? Yeah,
telomeres. They're essentially our biological clocks. They sit at the end of our chromosomes and act as a protective cap to protect the cells. And the length of those chromosomes tells us how young we are biologically compared to chronologically.
I see. So just explain, then, what it was you actually discovered.
Well, it was actually Hippocrates back in 400 BC that said that walking is man's best medicine, and all we're really doing is applying modern scientific techniques to show how true that statement is. So in this latest research, we looked at how those telomeres, people's biological clocks, differed across how quickly people walked. And people who walked quickly had much longer telomeres and therefore a much younger biological age. And as you said, a lifetime exposure to brisk walking could actually equate to up to a 16 years difference in somebody's biological age by the time they get to middle age. And in this study, that was 56, 57 years.
So this is something that you're essentially born with, because we looked at this and thought, oh, sort of take 16 years off your life. You've either got these sort of long telomeres or you haven't. You can't get into your 20s or 30s or 40s and make your telomeres longer. This is something you should be doing your whole life.
It is something you should be doing your whole life. You're right. You can't go back and change what's done in the past. But wherever you're starting from, even if you're starting from middle-aged or in your 40s, your telomeres still have a certain length, and that certain length is still going to get shorter as you get older. So wherever you're starting from, you can arrest or slow down the rate at which those telomeres degrade and get shorter.
So they do get shorter over your life?
Yes, yeah.
So how fast do you have to walk? What's brisk?
So that's a good question. There's various different ways of measuring it. You can measure it by miles per hour. So in this study, we had 4 miles an hour or faster as brisk, 3 to 4 miles an hour as steady average, or less than 3 miles an hour as slow. You can also measure it by how many steps you take in a minute. So if you are walking at more than 100 steps a minute, you are achieving what we would call a brisk pace. And that's actually achievable for the vast majority of the population. So if you're wondering how fast you walk, simply go outside, find a flat level surface, set your stopwatch for a minute and then count how many steps you take, and that would tell you your habitual walking pace. You can also measure it by subjective methods, something that we call the talking test. If you're walking and you can quite happily sing a song, you're walking too slowly. However, if you're walking at a pace where your heart rate's elevated, you can start to feel yourself breathing a bit harder. You can still hold a conversation, but it's starting to become harder. That's also what we mean by a brisk pace, and that's the zone that we're aiming for.
OK.
Right, Tom, thank you very much indeed.
You.
Thank you for joining us today. Julia, you obviously are a walker. You've done this for your health. You're listening to what the Professor was saying there, nodding in agreement.
Yeah, I'm always thrilled when a bit of research comes out saying that walking is good for us, spending time outdoors is good for us, and it just sort of compounds years and years of research that is heading us all in that direction. Walking is a brilliant form of exercise. I think the best thing about walking is it is accessible to all of us, to most of us. Even people who have mobility issues, even if they're in a chair, they can be walked, they can be sort of pushed and taken to an outdoor environment. And we know it's a combination of that outdoor environment, the fresh air, green spaces, and the walking, the movement itself. We've long known that movement is good for our health and improves our health on so many levels, including having reducing the effect, the chance or risk of getting something like Alzheimer's or certain cancers, and also really good for our mental health.
How can you make yourself walk briskly? I mean...
So you do have to... Well, we're not talking about shuffling along here. When we talk about walking, and I walk, everybody in my family complains because I walk very fast, and always, oh, there she is, the queen out in front again.
Even any walking is better than sitting on the sofa.
Any movement, if you can, like, get up. I mean, I had a story with a man who... I'm writing a book at the moment, and he told me about... He was on the hospital bed, and he was due to have a heart transplant. And he actually got off the bed because the chances of him surviving the operation were not very good. He got off the bed, and from that day, he started walking. And originally, he just started walking from his front door to the letter box so that he could reply to people who'd been sending him good wishes. And from then, he's now walking miles and miles every day, and he hasn't had his heart transplant, and he has transformed his health.
Wow.
I can tell you so many anecdotal stories like that. Ladies suffering from fibromyalgia who've got up and have walked and have managed to manage their pain because of walking. There is absolutely no question that any sort of movement is good for us all.
So back to Holly's question about technique.
So technique. So you want to be striding out. It's not shuffling along. So if you can, you want your heel to hit the floor first. So it's heel toe, heel toe. It's not really about stretching your limbs as long as you possibly can. It's about the pace that you're walking. So short, fast steps. Stand upright, swing your arms, hold your tummy in, hold your bottom in. You're walking with purpose.
I was about to say, so it's quite an active walk with purpose.
Yes, yeah.
OK.
But you don't. But it's not like those speed walkers that you see.
No, it's not the funny ones. It's not those funny ones. You don't have to do that. No, and you don't have to sing at full pelt either. Thanks, Philip.
Right.
Although he'd sound nice if he did. Let's go to Alice Beer, because she is currently out having a ramble with a rambling enthusiast. She's got... have you got the dog with you? Is that Stan?
I think that's a dog.
Is that Stanley?
Yeah, I've got... It's Stanley, and may I introduce his girlfriend, Tilly, but they promised to keep it clean while we're on air, but they are very much in love. Yes, I'm very much having a stroll around the beautiful town of Malmesbury. This is a walk I do often. This is a stroll, but these are the best piece of exercise equipment I ever bought. They get you out, they get you moving. But obviously what you're talking about and what Julia has said is that first step is just to get out. It's so good for your mental health. And there's somebody around the town of Malmesbury who's helping people get out and about by introducing them to things of interest. So Campbell, hi Campbell, morning. You're a lifelong rambler. And now you're doing something to get people out and walking and moving around the town. Your history tours, aren't you? Which is great.
We've got so many stories to tell. We've got saints, kings, flying monks and tigers around every corner in Malmesbury. So we've got...
And witches, obviously.
And witches.
Yep.
So we've got organised walks led by local experts every Thursday afternoon. We've got trails and maps, self-guided tours that you can pick up in the town hall. And this summer we're commemorating the 350th anniversary of the Malmesbury Witch Trials. So we'll be doing new walks and new trails for that. Anything that gets people out and about and exploring locally has to be great.
Brilliant. Now, what you and I are doing is definitely not brisk walking. It's very lovely and I love a chat, but it's not brisk walking, and you're quite conscious of that, aren't you?
Well, I am, and certainly my wife is. She's downloaded the NHS Active 10 app, and that makes sure that we measure how much we're walking, and particularly that we're doing brisk walking. And it tells you how many minutes that you've done both of those types of walking, and we thoroughly recommend it.
Brilliant. So in your history tours, are you now going to have little bursts of energy where you say, come on, guys, we've got to do 15 minutes at a brisk pace. No talking, no singing.
Well, that's not quite the point. I think history has to be savoured, and we've got some great stories to tell, so it's getting that balance right. any sort of walking, I think, is great.
Brilliant. Now, Campbell, I do want to see you around town in your lycra and your poles, striding out. I'm going to leave you now because I've got the app here. I'll see you in town for a coffee later. I've got this Active 10 app and I'm going to show you what, I've plugged myself in, what brisk walking, if Paul Lee, the cameraman, can do it. We're going to get up to brisk walking, so I should be able to just about hold a conversation, get a little bit out of breath, that's not hard. And this is now officially I'm brisk walking. So this is what you've got to do to maintain it. And only 20 minutes of this a day.
I love the fact that Campbell is just standing there in the background
Yeah,
as
just
you
waving
walk off.
goodbye.
Eat my dust, Campbell.
Oh, no.
Thanks, Alice.
Bye,
Thank you very much
Alice.
indeed.
It's because I'm buying him a coffee later.
Thank you. Enjoy your walk.
Bye,
It's a beautiful
Stan.
part of the country.
Yeah, lovely.
You're actually filming some walks for us.
I am.
aren't
I'm doing some walks for you right now. I'm in the middle. I'm going off this Friday to film. I won't tell you where because we'll spoil it. But yes, there'll be a lovely walk series coming up here.
Oh, have a lovely time.
Thank you.
Thank you.